Hello, everybody. So nice to see everybody. Hope everybody had a great holiday. Today is Monday, December 1st, 2025. It is 7:02 p.m. I call the meeting of the New Shoreham Town Council to order and would ask for a motion to convene the Board of License Commissioners.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. We're now sitting as the Board of License Commissioners. And our first act is to receive an act on a Class BV beverage license application for Ballard's Inn, which I understand was postponed. Thank you, guys. I was away.
Well, we didn't.
So anyway, I don't, Steve, do you want to come on up? Thank you. Excuse me 1 second, Steve, because I just, and Bill always reminds me of this because it's important for people who are watching at home or watch on tape. Joining us are Nick Solitro, the town solicitor, and Brian LaPlante, who's counsel to Ballard's, just in case you're wondering, as you're watching on YouTube, what those faces are in the background. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
Sorry for the-
No, thank you, Keith. So, from the follow-up hearing we've had a couple weeks ago, we decided to postpone to get everyone in the room. And at the previous hearing, there was an issue that the police chief supported putting the same restrictions on Ballard's. In the meantime, I met with him. We went over everything. We went over our plan for the summer for 2026. I told him we're going to keep mostly everything in, pretty much everything that we did before, but we can't keep the restrictions on the license. I sent him an email with what we want to do and so forth. And he agreed. He said that he doesn't support the restrictions anymore, that we're going to work together this year like we always do. We've had a great relationship. He's also very impressed by the way that Ballard's has been running for the last 3 years. There's been no violations, no nothing. And we're going to continue that, and we continue to work together. Under that scenario, there's no basis for the restrictions. Now the police chief doesn't support it. I just asked the council to approve the licenses like you've had every other business, and I'm here if you have any questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the members?
No.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, I do. So there was the restrictions that were on before. You sent a letter, for those in the room, you sent a letter to the chief of police saying that you, as business practice, you're going to follow those same restrictions or what you had set forth. You're going to follow those. You made an agreement with the chief.
Correct. I agreed. He also asked me if I could have an ambulance at Ballard's on 4th of July and VJ Day weekend. And I thought that was a great idea. So I told him I'm going to do that too. And that's kind of a step up. We never did that before, is a promise to him. So yes, yes, I did.
Well, I appreciate the chief's input on this. I think the council before us, I think the things that had been worked out with you and the council, I think they were good. While they were attached to the license, I understand the reason for that, but I think those actions that the council did proved to be fruitful. I think things have worked out for the last couple of years myself. And while I personally support the chief's position, I would like to see the record reflect the agreement that Stephen has given to the chief also, should this be approved. I think it's important that that be reflected in it.
So, anybody else? Go
No,
ahead.
you go first.
So I think it's important to sort of look back on what got us to this point. We had a really challenging situation in 2022. We had multiple bands playing simultaneously. It was a festival. We had thousands of people. It got completely out of hand. We got massive regional and national media coverage that I would argue we still haven't recovered from fully, reputationally. Our public safety infrastructure was overwhelmed. Nowadays, even more so since then, it's challenging to adequately staff for general public safety issues, let alone the risks associated with some of these larger venues.
Hey, can I interrupt Keith real quick? I just want to, we went over this in the last hearing. Rhode Island law says that anything that happened 3 years prior is wiped off your record. So we brought that attention.
So Rhode Island law also talks about.
Yeah, let me just finish. So, yeah, I can read it to
Please
you.
actually speak.
Yeah,
but
3 years after the previous shall be considered a first offense. So in terms of our record, we don't have our licenses clean right now, you know?
I understand, but I think you understand that a council has to make a decision based upon what we've seen, and what we've seen is a clean record since restrictions were placed on the license.
Well, actually, my family's been here for 70 years and we've run Ballards. And that was like the first time there's ever, you know.
What I was saying?
Sure.
We have no real ability to respond, whether it's Ballards or if someplace else popped up, sort of en masse. We are so short-staffed for a lot of these things. And I saw it, I lived it. In my opinion, the conditions are not only rational, but essential to public safety, given our resources. I don't see, quite frankly, given what you worked out with Chief Dean, a significant difference because we when you look at the conditions on the license, Ballards will not exceed the capacity limitations established by the state fire marshal. Now, these were modified, you recall. It's not nearly what it was. Ballards will not host any large-scale live music festivals or events reasonably likely to attract audience causing safety issues at Ballards, including exceeding Ballards' capacity limitations as established by the fire marshal. For purposes of this provision, Ballards will not A, have more than 2 live bands playing outdoors, or B, have live bands playing outdoors during the same time frame on any day in 2025. However, provided, however, the brief overlaps are going to happen, you know. If Ballards retains and pays private licensed EMTs, Ballards will continue to direct the EMTs to provide their credentials to the town upon request, etc. Ballards security. Ballards will continue to implement a security and safety plan with security personnel wearing visible matching security uniforms. These are, in my opinion, given the context of our public safety infrastructure, not unreasonable or irrational.
So if, let's say, Champlain's the Spring House has a concert or festival, why do we have to have those restrictions and they don't?
I think if they had what we have seen, what we saw, that we'd be having the same conversation with them.
So
Steve, why don't you let me talk? It's Brian.
sure, that'd be great. Thanks, Brian.
Mr. First Warden, may I?
Hi, Brian.
Hi. Steve referenced the applicable Rhode Island law, and I want to put it on the record so everybody's on the same page and we're clear about our position. Rhode Island General Laws 3-5-21, in connection with the imposition of fines or revocations or suspensions, very, very serious matters involving wrongdoing, which is not what you have before you. You simply have a renewal that's allowed pretty much as a matter of right under state law and under your ordinance, says that an offense committed by a licensee more than 3 years ago, okay, shall be considered a first offense, meaning that a licensing body like yours cannot look back beyond 3 years and use anything surrounding an alleged offense. And I want to make clear for the record as well that while we all are very much aware of what transpired in 2022, the actions taken by the town against the licensee were subject of appeals to the state Supreme Court and to the Division of Business Regulation, Department of Business Reg. The appeals were dismissed by agreement, and there were never any conclusions as to adverse findings against this licensee. So they were more than 3 years. We didn't have adverse findings. They were unresolved. We agreed, both the town and Ballards, to walk away from the issues surrounding procedural improprieties with that licensing hearing process, as well as substantive matters that concerned other parties involved in what occurred that fateful day back in 2022. And so not only, so this is really, frankly, out of bounds and a baseless rationale for imposing conditions upon any licensee. The fact that these conditions are unique to Ballards is incredibly important. And there has to be competent evidence of why they should be imposed at all at this stage. And it's my position that there's no such competent evidence. And I'd respectfully request, and what Steve is requesting is that he simply be granted his licenses like other licensees, but unique to this situation is Steve's willingness to work closely with the chief, as he's done the last few years, in implementing the plan that he's implemented for the past few years. That's what he's asking for this evening.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
I have a couple questions about so on this agreement that or this proposal that you sent in,
Sure.
Ballards will maintain a trained security team with matching uniforms and will continue proactive communication with the police chief before and during the season. When private EMTs are retained, Ballards will ensure they provide credentials to the health services. But my question is really more about the EMTs. Like, how often did you have private EMTs in the last couple years?
Yeah, so that's a good question. We started out with like every 4th of July, and then we did every weekend, every Saturday, Sunday.
And so
Yeah.
it doesn't sound like, so it sounds like now you're going to just do 4th of July, not every weekend.
Well, the plan is to do every weekend, but in the previous restrictions, it was never a requirement. So, and there was never any like promise to the chief. But now I told the chief he wanted to make sure no matter what that I have him there this weekend. So it was never required before to have EMTs. I did it on my own behalf.
Well, I'm just concerned that if that's a switch, right, where you
Sure.
don't have them.
I still plan on having
have
them.
them before,
Sure.
I'm concerned about what would, so now our EMTs
Yeah.
don't have any information, right, about what sort of things they should be planning for that your private EMTs have been handling for a couple of years. I wonder if that would be information you could share with them, because that could be a real wild card.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Were they dealing with splinters and sunburns, or were they dealing with,
Yeah.
alcohol poisoning or?
Great question. So to start the year, right, the EMTs go up to the medical center and meet with the medical center staff and go over the protocols and the procedures. So that's just part of like when they're retained every year. So is that what you mean? Yeah. So so they go over and what dates they're going to be here and so forth. And, I schedule them for some dates, but then sometimes like they can't get a ferry over, they come late or the times, so it's nothing like, there was never a requirement for us to do it before. We just did it on our behalf, because I felt that we needed that sometimes, does that answer the question?
Yep.
I think,
So my
I think-
question
yeah.
is about bands. It says no more than 2 outdoor live bands per day, but it's very specific to bands, and I'm
Sure.
concerned about DJs, right? So this doesn't preclude you from having like a DJ and a band, which,
No, it doesn't. And that's something that we agreed to previous, but we've never had more than a DJ and a band. Is that what you mean? Like, I think that's more cosmetic. There's no plan to do a DJ and 2 live bands. Is that what you mean?
exactly what I mean.
There's no.
Right.
To be
So, like,
clear,
if you have a DJ and a band going at the same time, that's
Yeah.
that's
That could be,
my way of thinking. Like a DJ in today's world is a band. I mean, it's
yeah,
it attracts a large crowd, and
yeah. I mean, I guess technically we could, but I don't think that's the plan.
that's never been a restriction on the license.
Yeah, that was never
Recorded
restriction,
music
yeah.
has never been a restriction, even in the year.
I don't think I said it was a restriction. I was asking a question about it.
Okay,
But
Sure.
thanks for jumping in.
yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
I just want to be clear
so-
that even the year after,
I know
The
Molly
year
was in the- Molly was in
2022.
the middle of asking you a question, Brian. We get you. Thank you.
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm not asking about 2022. I'm talking about today. I'm talking about DJs, right? The
Sure.
and I'm
Like-
concerned.
like you did for
that
other
this
licenses.
language- Thank you again. I'm concerned that this language is specific to bands, and I would be a little happier if it was specific to DJs and bands. Having 2 outdoor music venues going at the same time is very different from what anybody else has going in our outdoor entertainment licenses. And I would like to be clear that what I'm saying is I want to make sure that we're talking about one outdoor music activity going on at a time.
Sure, I
That's
can.
what I'm saying.
Yep, I can tell you that that is not a plan of ours, and I don't think we've done that in the last 3 or 4 years. But I can tell you when one band plays on the other stage, there is the house music that goes from the speakers on the other stage. And it's not a DJ, but it is streaming music, but there's no big crowd. And that has been going on forever.
Is
And that's not a
Entertainment license specific to one act or one,
can't do that.
this is my concern.
Yeah, I can.
Two things going on at the same
Yeah.
time is more than anyone else who has an outdoor entertainment license in the town of North Shoreham is doing. So I'm questioning,
Yeah,
you're saying in here that you're not going to have more than one live band. Let me read it.
and it is allowed
More
per
than
your.
2 outdoor live bands per day, but I'm wondering if you would be willing to expand that to include DJs.
Yeah, that's fine.
And-
A DJ in-house, that's fine. If that's, I don't think,
No simultaneous outdoor band performances.
yeah,
So
I
that's
don't mind going on the record now and saying that. To rewrite the whole thing and get the chief's input is impossible, but I don't mind going, you're gonna have to trust me. Yeah, I agree with you. We won't do that. But it is allowed per your ordinance. This is a very positive thing. We've done some great things the last 3 years. Bowers has been running amazing, and
It's been great.
I know, but we have to stay positive here. And to come here and to be able to have this conversation, I think we all should be happy that the way it's going. And Keith, you're the only one that was here during the whole previous violation. And in your wildest dreams that we could come back here and have the clean record, spotless record over the past 3 years that we would have, no one thought it was possible, and we did it. And
Is there any ongoing litigation that's still going on from the previous event? Are you
I don't.
involved in any litigation that's still not cleared up from that?
Brian, that's not relevant to this, is it?
Yeah, it's certainly not. I'm not clear what what litigation are you referring to? This matter with the town certainly was resolved back in 2022. Your solicitor knows that.
I'm not asking, I don't think the town was in any litigation over this. I'm asking.
Actually,
It
yeah,
wasn't-
it was.
It was.
It-
It was.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah,
I wasn't
yeah.
Involved in
We
that.
had claims against you guys, you know.
But I'm
Sure.
asking if there's any outstanding litigation still going on related to that day
And
that
how,
we should be aware of.
how is that relevant to the liquor license? I don't think, you know, I think you need to speak to your attorney. I think that question, I don't know, Brian, I don't think that's appropriate, I guess. I just don't think
Yeah,
it's
let-
a licensing
let-
body. I don't know how it's relevant.
I'm going to take that answer the
Yeah,
way that I
That's,
guess.
look,
It is.
this is fine. It's not relevant. I can answer it. It's a matter of public record that certain people filed civil claims, I believe all of which, or substantially all of which, were from the boat, from the ferry incidents. And so those claims are outstanding, those civil claims
It could be
against interstate, against others.
against each other. And this could take 10 years to solve, who knows?
Sure.
I'm just, I
Yeah,
think that's
keep
all my
going.
questions.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just, I want to agree with the fact that, that it's positive that we're here today having this conversation and we're doing it in a very detailed and friendly manner. I think that I put a lot of faith in the chief. He's more than satisfied. I don't think that the peace that we've had in the last 2 years is necessarily a result of the conditions that were placed on that. I think that whole situation was kind of an anomaly and a very sad and tragic one. We all learned from it,
Worst day of my life, one of them.
clearly. So, I appreciate your cooperation. I appreciate the way that you have worked with the chief up till now and that you intend to work with the chief in the future. And I'm more than happy to have the conditions now just become an agreement between you and the police chief and a recognition for, the town. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Filippi. I'm satisfied with the 5 agreements that you've laid out with the chief. I guess just one thing, just to touch on the mutual aid. So we're blessed with beautiful weather post July 4th.
Sure.
Do you anticipate the auxiliary, your ambulance corps being on the island?
I anticipate them every weekend in July and August.
Okay,
I haven't talked to them yet. We usually talk in January, but that's the plan. For the chief, I promised them they'd be here 4th of July and VJ Day weekend, no matter what.
so that vehicle will be on the island for the summer.
I'm 90% sure.
Okay.
I plan on it.
Right.
And there is in the budget.
Good.
So also with the 4th of July being on a Saturday
Yes.
here, when you say 4th of July, what are you talking about?
For EMTs?
What days are you talking about?
I think,
Just
you
the
you
4th of
know,
July proper, right?
yeah, that's a great question. I was just looking at it. Definitely Saturday, Sunday. And I think Monday this year is going to be busier day,
Right.
right? Because
Yeah, that
usually,
makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
someone gets a day off. It's usually Friday or Monday.
Because it was Friday this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went
Yeah.
back.
Yeah,
and-
so,
And I think Monday is a busier day. Do you know what I mean? So it'll probably be Saturday, Sunday, Monday. That's probably the plan.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday?
Yeah, that's probably for 4th of July weekend. I think that's probably what we'll do. You know what I mean? Definitely Saturday, Sunday. Without a doubt.
all right. My motion would be one that I don't think would would attract sufficient number of votes. So if someone wants to make a motion, please go ahead.
I'll make a motion to accept the renewal. I forget what the usual language is that goes with the general renewal and with the lifting of any restrictions that had previously been on this license, with an understanding that operations will continue in the future, and there'll be cooperation with the chief of police going forward.
Absolutely.
And any mention of this?
Well, that's what I think it would,
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful to have that attached to the license renewal.
We can't attach it to the license. You know, that's
Not
kind of,
to, you know,
yeah.
but to our
Yeah.
file.
Yeah, okay, that's if whatever you want to do. I just can't have it as a restriction on the license.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
no restriction on the license, just attached in the file
Great.
as
Is
a
there a second?
reference.
Second.
With the expansion
yeah.
of bands to bands and DJs,
Yes.
correct?
Sure. You're gonna have to trust me. It's not gonna happen, Molly.
I mean, he's acknowledged
yeah.
that.
Molly, come down anytime you want, please.
Steve,
It's
would
not
you
gonna
be,
happen.
would you be willing to put that in the agreement that you have with the chief?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
think that would, I think that would be from that end of it.
Yeah.
Also, I think that, I think it's important that people understand that the restrictions that the council had worked out before turned out to be apparently good business practices
Yeah.
for you. And, the approval of this, the restrictions are still going to be, we'll call them restrictions, but the business practices that were a result of those restrictions will still be in place from that end of it. You've agreed to that.
Yeah, with the plan, absolutely. Yep, all those, absolutely. You know,
And I agree with Molly that if we could have that put in there and that, the agreement that you have with the chief attached to the record somehow, so that if there are any, issues or whatever, that can be part of the record that's brought up later.
yeah, it'd be a part of the record. That's fine. Just can't be a restriction on the license, you know. It's fine.
So we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? I'm opposed. I'm a no. So the motion carries.
I'm just gonna say I don't love this because the police chief isn't here to ask any questions of, and he has sort of inexplicably flipped. So today I got a letter that he feels differently, but he's not.
We just want to vote.
available.
We just-
Yeah, so no.
Okay, so 3-2.
3-2.
All right. Thank you, Steve.
You want me to stay up here for the entertainment? Want to do the same? thing?
We've got to, we have,
Sure.
a couple more things to do, one more thing to do, and then, yes. All right, Millie. I confess that after 5 years, I'm still confused by what we need to do on setting the caps
Yep.
on liquor licenses.
Sure,
So-
sure. So there is a document in front of you there
Yeah.
that Amy's handing to me very graciously. And if it lays out the previous cap in the second column, and the third column is the number issued. That would be the number applied and that we expect to be issuing. So I would ask that, assuming you don't want to leave any vacant licenses, that that your motion accept the number issued.
Great, because if I recall correctly, we have the ability under certain circumstances to increase this cap, correct?
Yes.
You do have a provision in your
Yeah.
regulations to allow you to.
So can I have a motion to approve liquor caps with the change of BV from 25 to 23?
Second.
And wait 1 sec. Do we want to do that with BVL as well?
Yes.
Yeah.
And BVL from 2 to 1? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. All right, Steve, your turn again. Where'd you go? I just wanted to give you some extras. All right, floor's yours.
Hmm.
We have Charm Inc. doing business as Ballard's Inn. Same restrictions, because the agreement with the chief does sort of, it's sort of, it's a bit of a fuzzy line. Are there any comments from Nancy, Amy, did you have something you wanted to say? Okay, I wasn't sure whether you were trying to catch my
No.
eye. Just want to make sure. Can I have a motion to approve the outdoor entertainment license for Shoreham Inc. doing business as Ballard's Inn? Presumably consistent with the agreement that has been reached between Steve Filippi and Chief Dean. Second,
Second.
all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Keith.
Appreciate it,
Come
man.
down this summer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Made a big difference.
Next, we have GSP Table Productions doing business as Virginica Pizza, which have the best crust of the summer. Hey, Sadie.
So I am
Can you just
asking,
identify yourself for the records? We all know who you are, but
Sadie Flatman, owner of Virginica Pizza. I sent a letter to the commissioners, asking for modification of one of the special conditions on my entertainment license. It's condition number 2, limiting the license to a 2-piece ensemble. I would like to have more than 2 artists. So I'm asking if we could waive that or just have it limited to the number of artists that would at no time exceed the amplification restrictions of the town ordinances.
so I don't mean this the wrong way, but when I read this, I understand what you're asking for.
Yeah,
But if you were following the rules, at no time would you exceed the amplification rules regardless of how many people you had playing. You know what I mean? It's
correct.
I'm, because one of the restrictions is that you'll be the only one in that area that is having any music. I don't really have any problem with exceeding it beyond 2 people. I suppose technically we should set a limit so there aren't 15 orchestra people in your front yard, but I think the space is limited anyway. But I wouldn't have any problem with eliminating your restriction to 1 artist or 2-piece ensemble only.
One of the things we took on faith, and you know, and I'm comfortable with that, is coordination among Macaloons, Virginica, and Winfields, right?
Yes,
How did that go this summer?
that's fine. We're in communication and it's very simple to coordinate a time when no one else is having entertainment.
But it's also Captain Nick's and the
So,
Asian food place.
so if I recall correctly, and I believe me, that's an if. When we granted this outdoor entertainment license, one of the things that made the council comfortable with it was the amount of communication that occurs among those 3 in that specific area.
Right, but
Macaroons
there's
and the
also
Kit.
Tigerfish, right? But I'm just saying there's also Tigerfish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm just repeating that I think that kind of cooperation is valuable.
But to clear the record, Molly, I thought I thought it included Tigerfish.
Should it include Tigerfish?
I thought it was Tigerfish, Macaroons, and the Kittens. Did it include all 3 of those?
Tigerfish, Macaloons, Yellow Kittens,
Yeah.
Winfields. Yeah.
So let me just ask, how many performances did you have this year where you were using the microphone?
1.
And
But we had to turn down a few ensembles that wanted to perform at times that we could have hosted them.
you opened when
August 15th,
and closed?
November 1st.
So I'm just gonna say, I don't know whether this was a long enough time to really make, like, did it work? If there was 1 event, did it, like, that's great that it worked with 1 event. My hesitancy on this doesn't lie with you as much with the fact that I've had to listen to so many meetings that were obsessively taken up by outdoor entertainment or complaints in that area. And I wonder whether like a month and a half is a long enough time frame to really get an idea of what could be going there.
We
So-
definitely want to play within all of the rules and to not exceed the 70 decibel ordinance. And it's really a very limited time that we can even have a performance outside. It's probably about once a week that there's a window to have entertainment. So I'm not looking to have entertainment that would be cacophonous or with outside of the general restrictions. It would be probably a jazz ensemble.
My concern comes in with following what Molly's saying a little bit is you are elevated up on the hill there. And even when you're within what we're seeing with the chief, when they're within the 75 or 65 or whatever it might be, it's still a substantial amount of noise. And that's what we're battling with back and forth. I don't think we found a clear area on that yet. And unfortunately, I think a little bit of the crosshairs here because we're still trying to work this out.
I know.
From that end of it, I don't have any doubt that you would be responsible. I like the fact that you're working with the neighbors and it'll be one at a time. And I don't doubt that you would have, jazz or whatever it might be. But the license doesn't restrict it to that. That's just my hesitant a little bit about expanding beyond that. And I think that, in maybe in time, but I do have a little bit of reservation about being able to have a band playing.
But if it's within the 70 decibels, what difference does it make if it's 3 musicians or 4?
I think the problem is that
Four.
we're having problems with music being played within that from the neighbors and from people in that area. We're still trying to work through where that is.
Mhm.
I don't know, for the
Yeah, that's a tough one.
purpose, I just.
Yeah.
And
But if we're if it's going to be on a night where there is no restriction on the other 3 as to whether they play together or not at all. So,
right.
Limiting, this is going to be at the most, the only music in that area. I don't think that's increasing.
It's not, but you're changing the direction, and this is at a higher level elevation than Tigerfish or Macloons or the Kittens, which is on the other side.
I'm not sure if it's a higher elevation.
So are you?
No, I'm
I'll be honest. I have been struggling with this, and frankly, came here tonight expecting to vote no on this. As I'm thinking about it for the 462nd time, I think that the nature of Virginica is very similar to the nature of the music that's at Winfields, which is you have people who are eating outdoors by the speakers. You know what I mean? It's like you at least I old fart that I'm becoming, I would have a hard time going and having pizza and having really loud music. So I'm sort of inclined to give this a shot for a summer and see what happens. The problem with giving it a shot for the summer, and Nick or Millie, I want to ask you, if this goes wrong, what requirements do we have? I know for example with liquor permits, we have to be really very clear about what violations have occurred. what actions were taken, et cetera. Does it work the same with outdoor entertainment?
It's similar. So if is the concern that there's an event that would warrant a show cause hearing, or that we're here
No,
next
not
year?
No,
Okay.
actually, no, not a particular event, but uh, our feeling that this will be, this music or outdoor entertainment will be conducted responsibly and within rational behavior. If that turns out not to be true, do we put ourselves in a position where it's more challenging to go back to these conditions that we had placed initially on the outdoor?
No, I don't think so. And I would use your words that your suggestion was to give this lady a shot.
Yeah.
And if it turns out that you're here next year, and by way of example, and I'm not knocking the applicant in the lease, but hypothetically, if the police chief comes to you and said, hey, there were 20 occasions where they were at 90 decibels and it was too loud, you could then take appropriate action.
Okay. Fair enough. So I think that's where I am. I say I think I'd be comfortable giving this a.
So would you suggest changing number 2 to no more than 3 piece ensembles, or are you just
I
anything?
hadn't really thought that one through.
I don't, and I'm the one who said, I don't think that, there necessarily has to be a limit. They comply with the ordinance for the decibel level. They'll be the only music that's out there. I mean, I personally don't particularly need music when I'm eating pizza, but, I don't think that restricting it to 2-piece or 3-piece is gonna make a difference one way or the other. We're gonna do it. Let's just give it a shot and see what happens.
What do you think, Polly?
I don't see, I mean, I understand all of those
I didn't mean
arguments.
to
I
put
just
you on the
don't.
spot. I thought you were finishing.
No, I just don't,
Yeah.
I can't see, like, with just a month and a half and one event, like, we have no idea. I don't feel like there's anything to compare it to, but.
It's a hot spot. I mean,
I know.
you're contending with all of the properties and everyone knows the lay of the land. You got 3 to 4, now 4 businesses with live entertainment down there potentially. I mean, originally it was supposed to be poetry, right? That was the original request, amplified poetry and one,
Including poetry.
including poetry. Okay. So, I mean, that's where is it common for you to speak with the other businesses?
Yes,
And you guys will be playing on alternate nights?
yes,
So that is the agreement down there. So you won't have music when, say, Tigerfish has it.
right.
That's pretty essential to me, Tristan. I'm glad you raised that.
And, okay, vice versa. And that goes the same with the Yellow Kittens and Macaloons.
Yes.
Okay. We could add that.
Yeah, and when I'm talking about it, I'm just talking about altering the number on number 2 and keeping the first one, which is music occurs only at times where the other licensees are not playing.
Okay.
I would make a motion to grant this outdoor entertainment license, eliminating number 2 from the list of conditions in the previous permit.
I'll second that.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What do we have next? The lunch bucket. Hey, how are you? Great. Will you just identify yourself, please?
Michelle Belanger for the
Yeah.
lunch bucket.
Thank you, Michelle.
Mhm.
So what do we got here? I
At our last meeting, no one was here at the time, and I
Oh,
think what we
okay.
decided was that we moved it over to this meeting out of fairness to give an opportunity in
Yes.
case it was.
have you had any music at the lunch bucket?
No, he has not.
I got to be honest with you. I have never been comfortable with this license.
Yeah.
I never have. And I would make a motion to not provide an outdoor entertainment license unless, no, I'm a no.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Sorry,
Thank
Michelle.
you.
Can I have a motion to adjourn the Board of License Commissioners?
So moved.
Please. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Now on to item 4, public comment. Anybody want to give us some public comment tonight? Nobody? Annie Hall.
Annie Hall, 522 Connecticut Avenue, Block Island, Rhode Island. And I know that this subject I'm going to bring up is on the forefront of many of us that live out here and many of us that don't live out here. I think that we need to come to the realization that we have a huge problem with Lyme disease, and we need to go at it at all fronts. Everybody in my family, my kids, my husband, last month, the dog, $5,500 worth of vet bills. We need to do something about it. It's a public health hazard, and it's going to affect us not only physically, but it's going to affect our tourism. You know, this summer there was a baby in Nantucket, 1 month old. She kept on getting seizures. She was tested positive for Lyme. I tried to see what happened to her. I couldn't. So we need to really think out of the box and how we can eliminate what keeps the deer thriving out here. Maybe give more money for hunting for each tail, or, you know, there was a suggestion that if one hunter gets 75 tails, he gets a certain amount. And if he gets 100 tails, he'll get more money per tail, just to try to hopefully eliminate someday. But we need to come about it at all fronts. And I know that the deer aren't the only reason why we have Lyme disease here, but it's just getting worse. The gentleman from New Jersey, 47-year-old airline pilot, now, but there's so many different variations that are going on that we have a true problem, and us together need to work on it. And we also need the data from the medical center, like how many cases of Lyme that we have out here. What kinds of Lyme do we have out here? And maybe we can work with Nantucket
Or the vineyard patients.
and the vineyard, anybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Annie.
Yeah.
All right, we have our consent calendar, consent agenda, sorry. Oh, of course, John, sorry.
Annie, just so you know, it is on our agenda also for later to
Yeah,
discuss the
we're
deer.
going to be talking about this.
My name is John Gassner,
Hi, John.
And-
Sorry, I didn't see you.
and there's no problem. I would just like to reinforce what was just said about Lyme disease. And it's not just Lyme disease. There are other tick-borne diseases that are rampant in other islands, Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. They're opening up vegan restaurants in Martha's Vineyard because of the Lone Star tick. And that, you know, it's not just the deer either. It's the mice or the meadow voles or whatever. And I think it's a major, major problem. I think you understand that. And you know, we've all living on doxycycline most of the summer, but it's probably many of you, or have you been out?
Yes.
So I'm just reinforcing that. Thank you.
John. Anybody else? Comment before we move on to the consent agenda? Any comments or questions about the consent agenda? Can I have a motion to approve?
Some second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Discuss and act on board, commission, and committees. We received correspondence from Pam Gassner regarding the establishment of a Rhode Island semi-quincentennial. Did I do that right? 250th celebration RI 250, along with a a number of people who had volunteered to serve. I think it's fine and I'm supportive. The only thing I would add is if you would please invite people to join the group, just because there may be people who I know this is shocking, but there may be people who don't watch the town council meetings. And it would be really helpful, I think, if whoever, the historical society or you or somebody said, look, we're putting together this group, here's the core group, we'd love to have you participate. That was my own thing. Yeah, wonderful.
So would we approve the commission at this meeting and then at the next meeting appoint people who are interested, or do both?
I would assume that we'd have to create the commission this time and then.
Then
don't
you have
we
to
have
advertise
an
for the
ordinance,
30
Then we have
days.
to give a period of time for people
Okay.
to apply. So it'll come on the agenda again to be done. But, if we could.
Great.
All right.
Nominated just this group to start planning. But I need your, endorsement of it, but application.
So I think the first thing we need to do is have a motion to create a local 250 commission. I was going to use that just because I wanted Millie to be
I'll-
cursing me every time.
I'll make a
every time
motion.
she was typing.
I'll second.
Because I don't.
I'll make a motion that we create
Create.
a semi-quincentennial commission to be and accept members of the letters
Yeah.
of interest.
Great. Is there a second?
Second, although I think we have to define it as a local committee because there's already the Rhode Island one that you're a part of.
New
Right?
Shoreham Local 250. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. All right, we have, I'm sorry. you have
I
to
was
read.
just say then if we could put out a notice for people to apply, and I think, if there's any way of expediting this, we can get this moving. And then get it on an agenda in a few weeks to appoint.
I think it'll come back to you on January 5th, after the holiday.
Okay, and Pam, if you can tell of the people that you have listed here, would they just send a quick email into Millie saying that they are interested, and then they'll be part of this.
Is your light on? Thank you. See that button?
Okay.
Thank
I just wanted to note, there is one event that has been scheduled for the town for May 29th. Part of the state, every state gets a red maple tree. It's a Liberty tree planting.
Oh.
And so I had to get our town scheduled. So once the committee's done, we
Great.
would like the whole town council and members to be present, but
Terrific.
I
Where are
will
we gonna
send you-
plant it?
I'd love to have it somewhere on the town
Yes.
hall property, but
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that this committee will be doing. It's events and
Wonderful.
programs and educational.
Terrific.
Great, thank you.
Sea level rise or what? is it?
Coastal resilience.
Sorry, coastal resilience.
Committee.
Make a motion to appoint Lisa Gray to coastal resilience.
Is there a second? All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you to Jose. Please, we have a ton of openings. We have a resignation from Diane Haid from Sewer and Water, which means we'll have even more small Roman numerals next time. And if we could express our thanks to Diane, she's been on for quite some time now, I
Yes.
think. Done a good job.
Do we need a motion to accept that resignation, or
I don't think so, but if
do we
we've,
I think you can just acknowledge it.
acknowledge it? Okay.
and then, we received a resignation from, John Damaris, and I wish we could have a motion on this and reject it, because John's service to the town for close to 30 years has been extraordinary. He's a wonderful guy. Really sorry about that.
I'd like to add in with that, Keith. There's a handful of people that do an awful lot for this town quietly, whether it's showing up for a fire and, and they disappear back into the darkness. John is one of those guys that has not only with the assessors, but for 29 years has been very instrumental in
Yes.
being a backbone of this community. We're really fortunate, and it saddens me, his reasons for resigning. He's been there for the town, and I know the town will be there for him.
You better believe it.
Yeah.
Big shoes to fill.
Big shoes to fill. How, by the way, do we fill the Board of Assessors?
That will be filled by a council appointment. And
Yeah.
then once the term actually expires, that term,
Concurrent with
yeah, in
us.
26. So
26.
it'll go up for election this next year.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. And thank you, John.
And Keith, just as additional context, that group works so closely together and has for so long. They are also sort of soliciting.
I hope so.
Good.
Yeah, I hope so.
So-
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have a number of vacancies since we have a full house tonight, guys. Commission on Motor Vehicles for Hire, Senior Advisory Committee, Police Advisory Commission, Local 250 Committee, Sewer District Commission, Water District Commission, and the Board of Tax Assessors. Please, we need your help. Item 7, discuss and act on annual renewal of motorized tricycle, bicycle, and scooter moped rental licenses for the 2026 licensing year. All right, guys. First up, Aldo's Mopeds. Hey, John, how are you?
Hi.
Make sure you say your name in the microphone.
Yes, John Leone for Aldo's.
I'd make a motion to renew the tricycle, bicycle and scooter license for the 2026 license year for Aldo's Moped. Let's see. Let me read, you want the whole motion included, or can you just,
You're good.
yeah.
The second? All those in favor?
I have a question, Keith.
Yes, please. Yeah, okay. Molly has questions.
Oh, so I have some questions about the structures that you've erected on the property. Have those gone
What?
through
What are you saying again? I'm sorry.
structures?
The
The
structure.
structures that
Oh,
have been
structures.
erected on the property, did those go through historic district and get building permits?
On what property?
Hey, Molly, it's not on this property.
Oh, it's not on this
Yeah.
property. Which one is this?
This is on Weldon's Way.
Weldon's Way.
Yeah.
Weldon's Way, there was a structure erected on that property.
Okay, which one was
The
that?
metal roof with the 4 stands.
No, there wasn't one there.
Oh, wait, is this, this is Leo's.
Yeah, this is mine, Aldo's. I own that company too.
Okay.
Yeah,
I see why I'm confused. You're at 3 different places, so I am confused.
Okay.
This one, I don't have that question.
we'll get to that one.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, we have a motion made.
I just on the top, it had a missing VIN and financial statement. Was that satisfied, Millie? On the top of the application?
I don't believe that you, Laurel did reach out to you to provide 2 missing documents.
What
that we're
was it?
working on, but we wouldn't issue it until we received it.
Very good.
Oh, is it
Thank you.
the VIN number or something?
Yeah, the VIN and the financial statements, although the
Yeah,
VIN.
they should be, they're in there
Yeah, the VINs are here.
and the financial as well.
Okay, I'll, we'll connect.
Okay.
In either case, it would be part of, very good, thank you.
Yeah,
Without-
right. Well, I'm sure, well, we completed the application. It was filled, everything was downloaded. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
Yep.
we'll figure it out. Motion been made. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next up.
I might as well stay up here because I'm representing too. Okay,
The Moped Man.
okay.
I make a motion to approve the license, to renew the license of the Moped Man.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Are there any questions?
Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Okay,
I'm wondering about the structure that was erected on the property,
okay.
the metal structure with the 4 poles and the roof. Did that go through historic district? And did
No.
the building permit?
No, they're similar to what you would see, the same type of structure that's aluminum or metal with a canopy on top. There's the same thing. You know, in terms of, I don't want to call it structure. I mean, it's, temporary, like a canopy, temporary canopy, which is now not up.
So temporary, like you take it down every night?
No, no one, we leave them up like everybody else does. We don't put them up, take them down, put them up, we leave them up. At the end of the year, take them down.
So it's a structure. It's not a collapsible. Does it collapse? Does it fold and go into a bag and you can
It
carry
doesn't
it?
fold. I mean, I can move it, I could roll it if I like, I mean, it's similar to the same thing that you would see an aluminum, canopy, like you would want to call it. However, it doesn't have a, canvas roof. It has a aluminum roof. It's a different style
It's a
of
me-
roof.
It's a metal structure.
Yeah, well, whatever you want to call it, but I mean,
So
it's similar to.
did
sim-
they go through the historic district process? and
No, I never had a
building
problem. I never
process?
got a violation for it, no.
So it didn't go through the process?
Well, there wasn't a violation or any process to go through. I mean, you know, like if I received a violation or anything to the effect of having that, I would go through the process, but I didn't get that. If that makes sense.
Okay.
Amy?
Just to say that that is something we're working on and with through both building and zoning.
But can you say?
I remember there was discussion, I didn't think
And then
last year over the same issue of these canopies that are all over the place. I mean, everyone on the island during the summer has them. And then in the wintertime, take them down, or, you know, during the summertime, if they tend to like get destroyed from weather or whatever. It's just a thing that's been in the past of many years, everyone having them. The ones that I had, I felt were a little bit more structural in terms of, you want to call structure, that would hold up a lot better. And it's similar to the same thing. It's just that at the end of the season, it's over with.
except I'm concerned that they did all upend in the windstorm that we had a couple weeks ago. So
Yeah, well, that was unusual. Yeah, like a lot of things, you know. Sometimes a tree might fall on your house. Who knows?
and then
Yeah.
I
You know.
I also wanted to know if the signage violation on that property was resolved.
Yeah, well, that was a violation that was immediately taken off the sign. Yes. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, we've had a motion made and seconded to approve the reissue of the Moped Van license. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Next, Finnemore.
Thank you.
Fisher. Thank you, John. You coming back again?
I'll be back.
I'm giving him a break.
Good. Go ahead, man.
Good evening, everybody. Joshua Parks on behalf of Finnemore and Fisher Inc., DBA Island Mopeds.
Fantastic.
Okay, I'll make a motion just to start this off, to renew the the license for Finnemore and Fisher Island doing business as Island Mopeds.
Second.
Comments, discussion, question?
I have a question about the location on this application. It says lot 106, 107. Is that where this has been previously, or my understanding was previously it was on lot 106?
It has been previously issued on 106 and 107 pursuant to a 2022 court order, if I remember correctly.
You do remember correctly. This is, we had this conversation this same time last year. This business has been licensed on lot 106, 107, operated there for quite some time, licensed there for quite some time. The specific contours of that haven't changed. It was in fact litigated under a case number WC-2021-0129, which resulted in a court order out of the Superior Court, Washington County. To make a long story short, basically blessing this current location, which in fact has been renewed by this council annually since.
Curious about the proficiency areas that you put in the map. Does that mean that we won't be training people on Weldon's Way next summer?
Correct.
So we're changing that?
That's not a change from last year. The proficiency area hasn't changed. It's on
What's
that.
the proficiency area for then?
I apologize, I'm not understanding your question. The proficiency area is for the moped instructional training, which is occurring on that gravel lot just adjacent to Weldon's Way.
There's two proficiency areas shown. One on each lot. One on 106, one on 107. So that is where people will be driving up and down to figure out if they know how to drive a moped.
Right. The proficiency area is where they get their training before they get handed the keys and sent out.
So they will
Yes,
be driving on Weldon's Way to sort of test it out.
correct.
Great. And my other question is more of like a zoning question, is like, where do we stand? My understanding is that in order to have a secondary use on a property, you need to have a primary use on a property. So where do we stand on the primary use on the property?
You might actually be more equipped to answer that question in terms of the status of the building permit, which the town is.
So I appreciate that question, and I'm saying that because this will sound like a brush off, but I truly don't mean it to. We're here to discuss the Finnemore and Fisher moped license, not the reconstruction of the harbor side, which is a different business entity. So I'm happy to fill in the town council on that progress when it's appropriate and noticed and on the agenda and all that. I just want to make sure that we're clear about what we're doing here tonight, which is as regarding sort of this very specific business license.
But you understand what I'm saying?
So
How can I approve a secondary use on a property that doesn't have a primary use,
So
right?
I'm more than happy to let your solicitor weigh in, but in order to get rid of that primary use, that use has to be extinguished, and that can't happen through mere this process of rebuilding and reconstructing an entity. You have to take affirmative steps to sort of disavow that which has happened there before. So while I understand there's no building there right now, my position, and I think this is well supported, is legally, we're still zoned and operating that same way. We're just in that reconstruction process.
Nick, just a quick, I think, can you
Sure.
confirm the fact that, the use has not been abandoned yet, so there is a use on that property?
Yeah, the inquiry into whether or not a use has been abandoned is very, very fact specific. And subject to being corrected by Karen Browning, our land use solicitor, who knows this more than I may ever know. I believe there may also be an intent to abandon requirement. Yeah, I think that might be what Mr. Parks is alluding to. So yes, Nancy.
Okay.
Josh, to follow up on what Mala had said earlier, the proficiency area, there's one that looks like it's down on Weldon's Way. It is written over in the corner. Is that old or do you have two areas? Up on Chapel Street in the corner there?
Yeah, no, it should be, it's where it, if I know you walk down there, where it historically has been on Weldon's Way.
So the top part that says proficiency area, that's not an area use.
Yeah, correct. There's other stuff there.
Wait, so you're saying that the form that you submitted was incorrect? Or is this, what I'm looking at is what we're approving? We're approving this license with the proficiency area on 106 and the one on 107, and the statement that you will not be testing mopeds on Weldon's Way.
Correct. Nothing will be tested on Weldon's Way.
That's a significant change. I appreciate that. Motion has been made and seconded. Any further questions? Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. I'm a no on this one. Miles Unlimited.
Hello again, Joshua Parks on behalf of Miles Unlimited Inc. It's been a long time.
So I'll make a motion to renew
Yeah, you're a terrible liar.
Miles Unlimited, just to get this going. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay.
Josh, I have a question on this one. I believe last year, the training, the proficiency area was over on.
Exactly the same.
It's gonna be the same that it
Exactly
was.
the same.
When people do their contract, their initial, is that done on?
That happens at lot 111, which is the Miles one, not the Finnemore one.
Is there gas storage on this property? Gasoline?
So Neil, I know you asked that question of me last year, and I am unfortunately caught short in that I don't remember what I said last year. I know, and I'll incorporate that operationally, we're not changing at all from what we did in 2025. I'm happy to, backfill that information for you, but I don't have it at my fingertips.
I just want to make sure that any gasoline storage is in like fire department approved gasoline storage
That is,
containers, not Jerry.
it certainly will all be stored, in the appropriate fire safe manner.
Motion has been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Not all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. 7.
Thank you.
Ocean State Bikes.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to renew the UF tricycle, bicycle, and scooter license for 2026 for Ocean State Bikes.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussions or questions?
I have a question about the structure erected on this property as well.
Sure, Molly.
So it's the same metal structure that we were just discussing with Johnny earlier, but now it's been enclosed with plywood. And I'm wondering, has that gone through historic district? Has that gotten a building permit? Now that it is more than just a open structure underneath, it is now an enclosed structure.
Does this microphone work? Okay. Yeah, to answer your question, Molly, in the summer, there were awnings that just had the roof that was over that area. That's where we do our proficiency training on the other lot. And helmets were stored underneath those awnings, and vehicles would park underneath there while the guys were cleaning them to keep them out of the sun and out of the rain. And then in the fall, our operator, Mr. Leone, kind of ran into a problem because the town zoning ordinance doesn't prohibit the storage of mopeds inside structures. So he had a few discussions with Chris Hobie, the fire chief, And Chris thought it was a good idea to put them under those awnings and put the plywood around so they wouldn't be inside any buildings over the winter. We haven't gotten any violations or any letters from the town, but if there's an issue and we have to find another place to store the mopeds for the winter, that's no problem. We can do that.
We are working on that through zoning and building.
I would agree with Molly. These buildings, they're morphing into buildings. However, I trust the town manager is working that through the planning department. I defer over to that.
Okay.
Glad to see that's being looked at.
Thank you.
It would be really nice if we didn't have to expend significant resources on what is a pretty plain face
Obvious.
building, that obvious that it was constructed without appropriate permits.
Understood.
I don't want to get into the substance of it. I'm just saying we're spending a lot of time, undoubtedly, I'm assuming, on that, and it's pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Excuse me, Park, just wanted, if I may, John. That's temporary during the, if you have a building, you have a structure, that's something that you would see for many years in that location or whatever. This is a temporary thing, storage for winter. Come the springtime, it's all gonna get dismantled anyway. It's something to keep the scooters protected, and everyone thought, including Chris, the fire chief, that it would be a better idea than being in various locations, houses or buildings or wherever storing.
I don't, I say this with the greatest respect for Chris
Yeah.
and, you, my friend. To say that that's not a building stretches credulity. It does.
I'm not saying it's not.
Well, then you, but you've got to have the appropriate approvals for it.
Right.
And I'm not saying that necessarily those wouldn't be forthcoming,
Yeah.
because it's not my role, but
Well, what we will do is we'll make the proper applications, I guess, for historic and whatever it takes to get this approved temporarily for the time being, should I say?
I think you need to go through the land use process. Yeah, you don't mind.
And there's a process. There's a process.
Yeah, I'm not-
And the bottom line is, there's a process, and I'm hope that this can get addressed soon, because we're certainly hearing from the other side to it. So I think Amy,
What other side?
the side to the fact that there's the appearance that it's a building that's been put up with the sides and so forth. So the fact that there is a process, I trust that the building department is going to address that. And hopefully we get to a result.
So just, I'm sorry, Paul, anything else?
Just the gasoline storage, is the gasoline storage in an appropriate?
Yeah, it's in the UL approved locker in the appropriate cans as well.
The
Thank you.
NFP type thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I believe we have a motion and a
Second, yep.
all those in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
Okay.
time. Thank you, everybody. All right, we are on to mobile food establishment permits. Millie? Is there a reason why we couldn't entertain a motion to approve A through E?
I would recommend it.
Very well. If no one has any questions about these, they've all, well, with the exception of Alberto, who started his last year, they're all, we're familiar with all of them. They're all responsibly run. I would make a motion to approve the mobile food establishment permits A through E.
I'll second.
Bill?
Yeah, I just had one question on, I know a couple of them, there were some chairs and tables that were set out and then were being left overnight. And I think it was addressed, Amy, you could,
Yeah, at the last meeting or within the last month, when you authorized the lease agreements for those town properties, that had some additional language in them that required that not just the food truck, but any tangible property associated with it needed to be removed at the end of the night. So we shouldn't see that again this year.
Great. Thank you for being on that. Any others? Anybody? If not, we have a motion made and seconded. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Item 9, Millie.
You have a draft notice in front of you, which has the wrong year. It says January 5th, 2025. So
Yeah.
we'll be fixing that, and I'm asking you to schedule a hearing on January 5th, 2026, please.
Oh, I see. Okay. Can I have a motion to schedule the hearing on Monday, January 6th, 2020, January 5th? Sorry, I didn't even do that on purpose. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. Thank you, Millie.
Do we want to say what the ordinance is? Just for the general public?
Whole transparency thing. No, of course, we should.
I mean, if you're listening.
I'm sorry. You're right. I was trying to cram through it. So this is, for those of you who were here when we were making an appointment to the, a vacant seat on the school board, we had a town employee who was willing to serve. And the state law basically says town employees can serve as long as you have an ordinance that says they can. I mean, you know, so anyway, one of the things we agreed to was to have that kind of ordinance drafted and to hear it, just so you know, that's what that is. Kate, do you want to, or Kate or George, or who's doing the shellfish? George? Hello, George.
Hello. George Davis, 400 Seaweed Lane, otherwise known as Off Pilot Hill, or is it vice versa? I'm here tonight as chair of the Shellfish Commission, speaking on their behalf, and I'm sure Kate will speak as well, or she can answer other questions that I cannot. You have a packet from us that you've had a week or so now. Really what we're talking about isn't, most of this is not significant. It really is modifying an old ordinance that frankly had become out of date. We didn't realize how out of date it had become until we looked back at the categories that were in there versus what we were doing in our current practices. And this probably isn't something that's uncommon. You just move ahead and then you figure out and you go back and, oh, we better fix that. So that's what we've tried to do. One of the things that was a surprise to me was that the term non-resident doesn't actually exist in the Old Town Ordinance. It does exist, of course, in practice and in our schedule of fees. So we do have a non-resident category there. So that's one of the things we've gone back to try to fix. Also, we have looked at the quantity limits and got that to match what we've got in our shellfish guide. The one key thing that we would like to change, because this now conforms to the state of Rhode Island, even though we're in control of our own regulations. The state of Rhode Island, and our non-resident category, of course, is pretty broad. It's taxpayer and resident. In the state of Rhode Island, a non-resident is not allowed to harvest bay scallops. We have allowed non-residents to harvest bay scallops here on Block Island, as well as all the other species with the right licenses. What we've observed over the last few years, and this is one of the reasons we looked at the ordinance, is the greatest degree of violation that we find in the harvesting of our shellfish is in fact, in bay scallops. I first ran across this with John Grant a few years ago when someone was dredging in our Great Salt Pond who'd come from Point Judith. So we knew something had to be done, but looking at it, it took a little while to discuss it and kind of figure out what would be rational and how did it tie with other communities. Many other communities that have bay scallop populations do not allow non-residents to harvest, or if they do, they put a really significant fee on that individual or group. So that's the main change. But that's the only change. All the other licenses will remain the same. Yes.
When this is before us, or prior to this being before us as an ordinance,
Mhm.
a proposed ordinance, that you give us a list of the towns that also prohibit non-residents from taking pay scallops in their towns. You can't be, I understand, but George just said that there were towns that in their ordinances prohibited non-residents of the town, not the state. If that's the case, that.
Okay,
what
all right.
those towns are. I mean, the state law governs whether someone from Connecticut can come and take a bay scallop. But we're going to be saying no one from who's not from New Shoreham can take a bay scallop, as I understand it. So,
No one who's not a taxpayer.
yeah. No,
Yeah,
you know
right.
what I'm saying. So,
Or some of these towns will allow it, but at a fee of, for example,
yeah, they're
$400
very supportive of this. I just-
$400 a year, right?
Yeah.
This is over in
Yeah.
Tisbury in Massachusetts.
Right.
So I will get you what I've got and what the
Wonderful.
regulations are.
That'd be helpful. Thank you.
So you probably have some additional questions of me. I think I don't want to read all the proposals in here. I mean, you've certainly got
That'd
all
be
that. You had a letter from me, a proposal for corrections, the schedule of fees as they currently exist.
So.
And to correct things like there is no taking of soft shell clams. We didn't have that properly categorized as none in the
Mhm.
ordinance.
So for me, George, I have to say the work that Kate and her team have done, the work that you and the Shellfish Commission have done, I trust you guys work hard, you give a darn, you enforce, you do, in my opinion, all the things necessary to have a successful and robust shellfish harvest that first and foremost protects the species. So I trust that if you say that this is something we need to consider, I'm happy to consider it. Do we have to, I assume we have to hear this and put it in ordinance form?
Yeah, I believe your next step would be to request the solicitors draft this in ordinance form. Then you'd get it back in order to schedule a public hearing.
For that?
Yeah.
Nick, will you draft this? You want to be?
Absolutely.
Great. How was that? Yes.
And thank you for.
Wonderful. Thank you, George.
Well, and I appreciate the work of Kate and Katie Cass, who helped put a lot of this together, and the rest of the Shellfish Commission, and thank you for your consideration. We've wrestled with this for a while,
I know.
and now I'll
Believe
get
me, we
out of your
know
way.
how long it takes to update the ordinance. Terrific.
Thank you.
Anything else on this matter? 11, resolution regarding the island's deer herd and public health. You have before you a draft that I sent to Millie on Sunday, I think, which is what I said I would draft. I'm happy to go through it. Do people want me to go through it?
No, I don't have it.
It's on the clerk base.
Can you just? Oh, okay.
This, by the way, emphasis on draft.
I appreciate the resolution and I think we're in the right direction. Our goal here is to, is, as I understand it, is to emphasize on the health aspect of it, correct?
Yeah, I think there are, for me, Bill, if you're asking me, my desire in drafting this was to give a reasonable background on the fact that we've worked hard at this. But we have this public health crisis or whatever, and that's going to require something new or more aggressive or more, what have you. But in order to do that, I think it's important for people in the community to know we have got to engage and interact with state government Because we don't own our deer herd, we don't own the rules. So if, for example, one of the ideas I've heard pretty frequently is baiting. We have to get DEM's permission to do that. If we decided that there was a particularly large herd in a given area, and we wanted to do a driven hunt there to reduce that population, we would likely have to have permission to do that. So that was really the spirit and intent of this.
But one of the, I think one of the approaches had been through the Department of Health and, and to really make a push as to the impact from, getting their support from that end of it. I think is one of the, a lot of things have been tried over the years, you know what I mean? And I think that, I think everyone, all the parties that have different interests all agree that reducing the air, everyone's in favor of that. And then when the word extinction comes up, people get their backs up and so forth. My personal feeling is when we get close to that, then we can discuss that.
Exactly.
But let's not slow it down in the meantime. I think this is great. I think the move forward is good. I would not want to see us certainly reduce anything that we have in effect right now, because before we can get everyone on board, we still need to continue to battle this battle that we have. I think our own bounty system that we've had, I think is, it may not be the answer, but I think it's the best thing that we've had right now. And I wouldn't want to see that deterred at all.
100%. That's part of the reason I put this second to last for the resolve, because I don't know, I think it's worked extraordinarily well. Is it possible that a tweak that says, I don't know, for a doe, it's an extra $50. I'm demonstrating my.
Well, one of the things when the DEM came in and they made it was a good meeting we had. It was a nice presentation, but it's clear their mission, and I respect it, is management. We're beyond that, and I think that at some point, respectfully, we need to take that stance, and I think this is the step to it.
Yes.
And I think really with the avenue through the Department of Health, to try to get them on board from that end of it, we need to take that position that we understand what was presented to us, and but the fact that doesn't get to where we want to be, and I think at some point we're going to have a difference of opinion, because their mission is to manage, and we're in a different avenue. I think that we can respectfully take our positions on that, without compromising our relationship with the DEM for the other matters. But I think we're to that point.
I couldn't agree more. But
I think also we have to keep in mind that the last couple of years, the TAIL program has run out of money. So we have budget coming up. This is something that we need the voters to be aware of, that the taxpayers and the voters, that we may have to bump that line up, literally put our money where our mouth is on this, because the TAIL program works as a management tool. We'd also be sunk without it, like you said. So we need to at least put more money behind that this year while we work on the further plan.
But there are other things too, Molly, where they were, you can, and I'm not proficient in the hunting laws, but, certain deer can be taken, the others can, a doe, and as they explained to us. And I think we need to get beyond that. And what's it going to take from that end of it? So,
you said something that rings so true with me and is consistent with what I've been thinking too, Bill, and that is, we are not talking about herd management.
Right.
We're just, we can't. Two more people on the ferry today, when Susan and I were coming back, I learned had alpha-gal. I mean, this is a public health issue. And I was actually talking to David on the boat today, and David Lewis, sorry, for the record, David Lewis, Lewis Farm Road, and saying, I'm struggling to come up with a way to say this, but truthfully, if if there were an environmental factor that in a town, say on the mainland, that was making as many people sick as this environmental factor is, I think it would be on the front page of the Globe every day. I mean, I really do. And we've got to, whatever, draw our line in the sand, pitch our flag, you know, whatever the right cliche is, and go. Because the situation we're in, I use the word purposely in this resolution, is intolerable.
And the problem is, the laws currently that are written now, they're meant for management.
Right.
And that's a problem. And we're gonna forever fight the tide, basically.
Yeah.
now, So,
Yeah. By the
it-
way, it's not just, not solely human beings either. You know, I've heard of more than one dog this fall that has had really serious anaplasmosis, which is one of the tick-borne illnesses. It's just out of control. Anyway, go ahead.
So, but I think we have to push it even further. In the further resolve, the town of New Shoreham directs the town government shall work with all tools the town controls. Well, that's the problem. We've been working with the tools that we can control all these years in conversation.
That's why the next section.
I
talks
know,
about-
I almost want to say, forget that, somehow tie in the fact that we need
So
to be able to deal with it.
I'll tell you what I was thinking of there. One of the tools we control, as Molly said, Annie said, everybody said, is the deer tail bounty. And if I assume we'll discuss as part of the upcoming budget, I hope, what are the enhancements to the deer tail bounty? Is that what it's called? Deer tail bounty? Is that the right word? Deer tail reimbursement.
It is technically a reimbursement.
Deer tail reimbursement. Where we can frankly put that thing on turbocharge. That's something we control.
Keith, could we even look at something, like we do with the cabs, with the PUC, we're carved out from the state? And maybe an approach with that where some legislation that allows New Shoreham to set its own, whether, I don't know what the wording would be.
I think
know?
that's where we're heading.
And then maybe the fact that it would just be, it would be seen as, hey, it only affects Block Island. It isn't like bordering towns and so forth. And it might have, there may be a better appetite in the legislation for that. And then at that point, we would be able to, implement the regulations that would allow what it takes, whether it's hunting of geese and so forth. It might be something that broad of a scope that we have.
Yeah,
to look
that's,
at.
so in here it says, town government shall also explore whether the town of New Shoreham may be permitted to control its own deer herd and use harvesting techniques unique to the island's need to control tick-borne illnesses for a time period necessary to confront and mitigate our public health risks. Because I happen to think that that's where we're headed. And that's why, I mean, I think Alana and Tina are vital to this, because I think they need to not only help us with our state agencies, but also, I think there will be nothing that puts focus on this more clearly than having active legislation that says Block Island's deer problem, we're letting Block Island solve.
And that's where we should be. I mean, you'll remember the DEM was here and they were talking about baiting, and said, well, we can't let the baiting, they all get together and that,
Your favorite store. I'm sorry, Natalie. Yeah.
But it's true, and
We might get chronic wasting disease, and the
Yeah.
five of us are like,
yes.
"Mm."
Why not? Yeah. I think, and somehow I'm, I think we should talk to our, our
Yeah.
legislators and the like. I don't think I would our legislators alone are going to do it. I think
No,
we're
no,
going to have
but-
to have meetings with DEM
Yeah.
and get the Department of Health involved.
Yes.
Get a representative
Yeah,
you
well,
know,
yeah,
on that side.
absolutely.
Start doing.
I think it would be really helpful to have as part of our presentation, to the extent that one happens with the Department of Public Health, to have our professionals from the Block Island Health Services with us saying, here's what's going on, guys. I get 5 people a day with appointments, who have tick-borne illnesses. We have, anyway, do you want to take that out?
I also think it's important, we got quite a few letters from the, from people in the town this week. It would be important to hear from more of you. And we heard from one person who has a home here, but was diagnosed elsewhere and had a terribly difficult time getting diagnosed. That's the kind of stuff that we need to hear, because not everybody is here. Not everybody's going to the Block Island Medical Center to get their diagnosis or their treatment, because everybody comes and goes.
Yes.
Um,
I
so-
think we don't get allocated a lot of the cases that end up being diagnosed off island.
Right.
Yeah.
So we
I
need to
agree.
hear about that. We need
Yeah.
to hear, and anybody who has suggestions.
Yeah. Come on up, guys. Or
Bart DuPont, West Side, Downtown Road. I have a question. If the deer herd goes away, does Lyme disease go away also?
So it doesn't. We still have rodent vectors. So I included them in this resolution because I don't know whether there is any good prevailing science on that. I don't know. I know someone sent me, I don't think the person is in this room, but some work that other islands are doing with genetically modified mice, actually, which frightens the heck out of me. I'd have to hear a lot more about it. But
Yeah, was my question, because
Yeah.
the question is, if you spend all this money to trim the deer herd, have we fixed the problem?
yeah,
The problem, and as somebody said earlier, the problem isn't just here. It's a lot of people come and go, and they're being diagnosed in other places, which
Yeah.
is what we went through just recently also.
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And for anybody who out there is going to say, this isn't going to solve the problem, it's a start. I mean, let's start with the deer, and, we can take care
Yeah.
of that. If we can at least get some cooperation from Department of Health and a change in attitude from the Department of Environmental Management, as far as we don't want to manage.
Yeah.
Because it's not just Lyme disease. I think Lyme disease has broadened to the point where there's an awful lot of parts of the country that are impacted by Lyme disease and recognize Lyme disease, whereas 10 years ago,
Yeah.
they didn't at
That's true.
all.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the ones that are coming after Lyme disease that are the frightening prospects. We've been now through babiosis, we've been through the alpha.
Alpha-gal.
Nobody knows what else is on the horizon, so we just want to try to make it a health issue more
Yes.
than anything else.
Right. Yeah.
I'd like to see us also set an action plan. We've talked about it, we've talked about this, and, I mean, this is a big hill to climb. Ruth
Yep.
Profito in that group, and listen, if Ruth can't get something done, it probably can't be done. And they were, from the, Whitetail, whatever it was, the group and so forth. But I think that I think what we need to do, like I said, we have the resolution, and lay out exactly legislation and move forward and so forth. And then, so we don't just end up in our,
Same old, same old.
yeah,
Yes.
and I'll say that natively, it's just,
No,
it's a
Yeah.
big
Good.
hill to climb. But I think with some, I think we need to jump right to the legislation.
Right.
Yep.
We ready? Can I have a motion to approve this resolution?
So moved.
There's a second. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those no, ayes have it. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Go ahead, Andre. Sorry, I didn't do that before.
On the topic of deer, Andre Boudreau, Southeast Side. I'm lucky. I've been here almost 40 years, and I can't believe I've just said that. It's been almost next year will be 40 years. And the only time I've ever been bitten by a tick was this summer, and it was like
nasty. Like I got a huge, welt on my back. I didn't know what the hell it was and was like, so, and I got sick, as someone said earlier, it was like, we're on doxycycline all summer when we all work outside. But I think the bottom line is, Keith, I think you need to go. I think you need to have a meeting with the speaker as the representative of the council. Our representatives, they can do the talking, the May 4th can do the talking, but I think you will have much better results face to face with the speaker. And he's a wonderful man.
I know, yeah.
And he will grant you that.
Yeah.
But I think that's, Nancy, Bill, we've all in this room, like, since we've been here, deer, mopeds and deer. So if you're going to take a step toward in that direction, I think a bold step would be the way to go and have that conversation because, it is a public health issue.
That's good advice, Andre. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem though like the ticks have gotten worse. It sure seems it to me.
I think the mice are definitely part of the problem because, we've all had our Capizano's cats and, the meanest beasts on the island, but, they bring home the mice and the mice are covered in ticks, right? But they did have an article, a piece on Channel 10 tonight before I came here that they're trying to bring back the rattlesnake in Rhode Island. So I think if we could maybe introduce some rattlesnakes. Shirley, I'll leave you on that. Thanks for my food truck license.
I can see the headline in the Block Island Times now, Andre. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kim.
Keith, I think also, in the years of this going on, a lot has been, the trees and the flowers and the plants and so forth. And but when you get to the heart of the illnesses, it changes it. And I think there's concrete data to support that. And I think that kind of changes the direction from that end of it as opposed to the hydrangeas and so forth.
I just wanted to add to the sort of the list of entities that might help you is, the scientists. There are people, I know I worked for years with epidemiologists from Columbia University who collected mice and ticks off of mice and mammals and for quite a lot of years. And she had until COVID, and then that was it. But she had, last time she spoke on Block Island, her name is Dr. Maria Wasser-Duke. She said that once you have Lyme in the population, then babesiosis comes further and people are more likely to be susceptible to the next tick-borne. And so we've, as you said, babesiosis, ehrlichiosis, anaplasmosis, alpha-gal, you name it. And one of the last year that they did do work out here, they collected 3 Lone Star ticks. That's the only Lone Star ticks they found in all of the work they did out here. And they were surprised because Lone Star ticks were on Long Island. So it was only a matter of time. And your bites, Andre, I'm sure were Lone Star ticks. They have the worst, most miserable bites, and you don't even know what hit you. I've had several bad bouts of it. Not sick yet, so that's good. So anyway, I just think that would be another prong on the fork because she was really great at explaining. Yeah, that ticks have a 2-year life cycle, and as the nymph, they're on the mice, but as the adults, they need a larger host mammal, and so deer is not going to eradicate, but it's going to severely limit the life cycle needs of the deer ticks. So, and all of what I've just said, I got from her, and that was, 5 years since they've done any work. So
the thing that I find most frightening about the alpha-gal thing that I didn't realize until I was talking to someone who's recently been affected by it is, so you have Lyme disease, it can be severe, and you have Lyme disease, and you hopefully treat it. With alpha-gal, if you have it, when they give you your score after having the test, it's, let's say, rated on a 1 to 100 scale. So you might have alpha-gal that's a 20, Tristan might have alpha-gal that's a 40, and that's the severity. But further bites from an infected Lone Star tick can change your score. So you can become more allergic, sort of the way that some people with bee stings, they get hives once and the second time they go into anaphylactic shock. It's the same thing with the alpha-gal. He said without any scientific understanding or not.
Anyway, I think the science, when you're making presentations, is a
Yes.
good angle.
Okay, thank you, Kim. Yes, David.
As we talked on the boat, you did touch on the potential economic disaster on Block Island. And I think that just needs to be emphasized a little bit more strongly in our public discussions because, this could keep people away.
Yes.
As more than high prices, this could keep people away. In fact, I have seen one bumper sticker in social media. I don't know why I was there, but anyway, it said, I came to Block Island looking for an orb and all I got was Lyme disease. But the reality is we on Block Island, as Andre just already referenced, we've almost become intellectually not immune. We've become intellectually saturated by Lyme over the 40 years. But now we're dealing with something different. Tony Pappas was the first guy to get it, to my recollection. And Lyme disease will ruin your life. But other than that, that baby that died from the convulsions, Lyme disease probably isn't going to kill you, but it could ruin your life. But babesiosis will kill you. Peggy had that and she was in bed for 2 months last summer. And we know what alpha-gal is now spreading. And I know some people who have had it ruin their life and they just pray that they don't get an anaphylactic shock and drop dead like that man in New Jersey. So simply put, this could ruin our tourism economy. And we need to be mindful of that. The state should care about that if they don't care about anything else.
That is the big,
Thank you.
big push at the state level, because our tourism is a revenue engine for the
Yeah,
state.
absolutely.
And,
Amy, item 12.
I just wanted to do some quick updates on a few topics. The first was our conversation about the transfer station building. And so we did have the original vendor out. They still had all their plans and went through everything. And what I've shared with you is their recommended scope of work, and they really wouldn't scale back anywhere from this. This is sort of the minimum that needs to be done. So the total there, 97,610, just under 100,000. That amount is not something we can support in the current year budget. So we have 75,000 in capital this year that was intended to go towards engineering in the beginning phases of that redesign. We have all of that now. We will need some of that for engineering, but that's still going to leave us short. We can incorporate it into the capital plan and put it in the fiscal year 27 budget. My guess is it'll escalate a little bit, but this is sort of the bare minimum that would need to be done in terms of that building.
Basically.
This is the building. Yep.
Yeah.
And my understanding is over the last couple weeks, they've lost some additional sheathing. I don't want to say panels, just pieces. And so given the landscape that is still very much in flux between the transfer station and its needs in terms of redesign, stabilization, things like that, the landfill itself and the slope, doing some basic fundamental repairs to that building probably makes more sense than it did a year ago when we were going to be closer to a full rework.
Okay.
So right now I would consider putting this in the 27 budget as capital. Like I said, I don't see how we can support it in the current year.
Okay.
Did you say, Amy, there was anything in the current year that you might be able to put to it and then, so there would be?
It's an all or nothing.
Okay.
So they can't do a portion of this work. This is a one.
No, I mean for us, for funding, whether the work is done now or it's done after July 1st, from a funding standpoint of view.
We may be able to retain a little bit. It's
Yeah.
too early for us to say. There's going to be plenty of needs, again, across those three projects.
Sure.
So we'll probably budget this as a standalone, keep the current year allocation of 75,000 for that engineering work, which is what it was originally designed for.
So they had in their bid, they had some discounts for X, Y, and Z. Those would probably, those go away, or is it?
So we're gonna have that conversation because
Okay, great.
it actually looks like they were looking to do the work at the end of June. We get the funding year July 1.
Great.
You know, the reality of when we can get it done, how close we can keep the price, we'll consider all that. Yeah.
Right. And my hope when I had brought this up was whether certainly be wonderful if we had the money this year to do it, but my reasoning for bringing it up was if it was something we looked like we wanted to do, so we could allocate in the budget to do it,
If
so-
it came in at
Right.
50, sure.
It might be able to
But-
touch it. I appreciate the work Tom and you have done. on it.
Tom and
Thank you.
Mike, yep. Thank you. Any other questions on that? So the next coastal resilience project priorities, you have in front of you a draft revised scope of work for GZA. And so this takes their current project scope and reworks it a little bit based on the feedback from the last town council discussion with coastal resiliency, to emphasize planning work relative to the beach house and whether that can be moved, how it gets moved, what makes sense, so that that project moves ahead in the priority list. Stays within the budget of the grant that we're currently in, but focuses the final work on that area.
Are you comfortable with this, Amy?
I am.
I'm sorry, I missed a little bit. So basically, our priorities, we felt there was a shift in the priority. And so this incorporates that. Is what you're saying.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Great, thank you. Are you, Keith, you're good with that, right? Because that was a
Yeah, I mean,
issue we
I
had.
think it bumps up the major issue.
Right.
Well, was the major issue the movement of the building itself?
In
Did
the
we ever?
parking lot.
It was not kicking the can down the road on the town beach pavilion.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I remember a lot of conversation about Scotch Beach area, the parking lot and the like, but in terms of, are we actually talking about doing something with the pavilion? Was that the end result of our conversation, or was that still floating out there?
So what this does is addresses that question by moving that conversation forward. So you won't get plans out of this, but it will be planning to support the idea of moving the beach house. They'll get as far as they can in that project with the remaining funds that they have. I think in the Scotch Beach conversation, we were looking at one of the elements, but not both, meaning the environmental solutions, but not hard parking lot improvements. So that comes off the table as an example.
So on the table would be the Scotch Beach. Right, and the bathhouse.
Yep.
On the table. The work to immediately do the parking lots is pulled off the table, put behind those, correct?
It's not gone entirely because again, a lot of
Right.
that work had already gotten, I
Right.
believe, past the 60% design phase.
Yeah.
So again, they'll
But it
finish.
shuffled the order
Yep.
behind the building.
Exactly.
Right, okay.
And so again, none of this gets executed. This is finalizing their scope of work around design planning.
But how we spend our money, we're spending it in the priority.
Yes.
That we want, which is more important at that
Yep.
point, so. And in fairness to the committee, I mean, they needed our guidance on that, so.
They did.
Yeah, so I don't find fault with what they brought forward.
No, not at all.
Yeah. And they've, I think they've been responsive to what they heard at that meeting.
Yes.
Additional conversation there?
No, thank you not for me.
Revolution Wind, this is more of an FYI. Revolution Wind is about to issue 2 RFPs to prepare nomination papers for assets on Block Island. As part of their process and an interested party, we get to see those draft RFPs before they go out. And then sort of engage in the process. We usually get to see the responses as well. So if the council wants to look at those, you're welcome to. As draft documents, we're not going to share them too broadly, but I did want to identify the assets that are listed.
Yeah, that would be great.
So they've split it into two just for manageability. The first RFP drafts nomination papers for 6 historic districts: Corn Neck Road Historic District, Mitchell Farm Historic District, Indian Head Neck, Pilot Hill Road and Seaweed Lane Historic District, Lakeside Drive and Mitchell Lane Historic District, and Lewis Dickens Farm Historic District. RFP 2, 8 areas, basically the rest of the islands, but broken into, again, districts: Champlain Farm Historic District, Beach Avenue, New Shoreham Historic District as an aggregate, Old Town and Center Roads, West Side Road North, West Side Road South, the African American Settlement, and Beacon Hill Historic District. So again, we don't have say in the definition of those assets. Those were all worked out through the 106 process. We just get to see the documents before they go out.
So in layman's term, what does this do? I
It
apologize. but
It
just-
drafts.
it's over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It drafts nomination papers for these districts to be included on the National Register of Historic Places if, in most cases, the town would choose to submit them. We're under no obligation to.
So they're drafting it for us to consider? Oh, okay.
So if you
Okay.
think back,
Yes.
So there's been no decision made that this whole group is being submitted for the National Historic Register,
correct.
but it's up to us to determine.
So they're required probably by the historic preservation component of BOEM
Yes.
to prepare these for any, in quote, impacted thing. And their consultants prepare them and provide them to us
Yes. So the
to
benefit.
decide whether to move forward
Yes.
with those designations.
So if we wanted to go forward with these and we weren't part of this, we would have had to do this work.
So I
And
say.
instead, they're paying for this work to be done.
I say likely the town on these specific assets, because as you heard, that's an unusual grouping.
Yeah.
I believe state historic preservation was instrumental in establishing those. So I have a little work to do to clarify exactly where the control rests in that. We had this conversation about a year ago when we looked at draft RFPs for private assets, if you remember.
Yes.
And that answer came back very clearly, although it took a little work to get to it, that those nomination papers would not be submitted without the approval and action of the owner. So we got the definite answer there. I assume the parallel exists here, that nobody could submit them on our behalf.
Well, that was the Orsted. We went, what?
Yep, so that first one was Sunrise. This is Revolution.
Okay. and
Parallel, identical process.
In the original one, the only 2 properties that involved the town was something with the Old Harbor. It was kind of nebulous. There was the
Old Harbor Historic District. I can't remember the second.
The others were private. There
Yep.
was the Spring House, the Captain Fales house. Did any of that ever go forward? or
Yeah,
was it-
they're working through their process and the consultants are engaged.
What's the benefit if you are on the is it the Federal Historic District? Is that what this is?
This is
National
federal,
Historic.
national.
Historic. And does that open doors or is there besides
Restriction more than anything.
the name, the plaque?
I'm
of-
not prepared to answer that question. I think like most things,
I actually don't know. I think there was,
You can
I
get
don't
any.
know, I hope it's not inappropriate to say this, but I think there was there was an emphasis on, in the federal regulation on buildings that either were already or could be national And one of the things that Orsted offered was to prepare the applications for those that could be. My recollection is that no one anywhere was particularly excited about that,
Right.
except maybe the state historic preservation folks who sort of took that up. And therefore, there's some money set aside to retain these people, but assuming I always assume Amy's right about this. These would be documents that would be provided by us, so that if we were to say we want Beacon Hill to be an historic district, we would have the paper and could provide it to the National Trust or whoever does that.
That also means
help?
that
Not really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not thrilled about this.
yeah, I just wish we could have,
Well, it's just been something that's been done that doesn't that did not arise from our town. You know what I mean?
right.
That's the
Like-
thing
it's like the money to the North Light is tangible to
something
us, you know?
Yeah.
The idea that, and you said this came from the State Historic Commission was involved in,
they were very actively involved in the direct conversations with Orsted. So I can only assume that the identification of these districts originated there, because that is the only source that I've ever seen that breaks down these neighborhoods in this way.
When they were first proposing the mitigation, that's where a lot of my understanding comes from. Literally 3 or 4 years ago, probably. They picked buildings that I mean, it was sort of like, wait a second, did you maybe talk to David Lewis about that? And the answer was no.
That's the other reason that I would like to give visibility to these, because at some point, members of the public may be approached by a consultant working on these projects,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Either because it's something you
They'll say,
directly own.
"Yes, that's how to do it."
And so to not have it done entirely in the shadows, make sure that we are aware of what's happening.
if they approach any member of this council here, I don't think we know what the heck is going on.
Exactly. Other than we didn't vote for it.
Charlene, was the Historical Society ever involved in any of this conversation? Does this ring a bell at all?
No, they didn't invite them to initial conversations, but later on, they came and talked about the different projects and said, they just explained what their mitigation steps
Yeah.
were, but
Yeah. I think we need to get a whole lot more information if it's
It
possible.
ain't forthcoming.
There's no additional information. I'm happy to share these with you. It's a little bit of time maximization too. We have no ability to change these. And so
Crazy.
it hasn't been an area where I'm investing a lot of time in monitoring it on a regular basis.
I think you get the sense, and I hope this is probably inappropriate, but I don't want to get a little bit pregnant with this idea. In other words, it didn't come from us. I'm not. I don't want something to get for us to get drawn into a vortex here. That's what concerns me about it. I'm not saying you're doing that, or I'm just saying that's kind of the thing that.
I think you just need to know it's happening.
Because we don't
And
control
let
the
it go.
trajectory, right?
Correct.
So just as long as we're ultimately, comfortable with the fact that there's no kickback or flashback.
I
to
know.
us,
Yes,
which
I know that.
do we,
Yeah.
doesn't sound like we even know that much about it, but
No,
I mean, I know it's okay, so how do we get what you have?
I'm happy to share it with you.
Well, I mean, can you email it?
I'll email it to you. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think everybody wanted it, so.
No, I'm just nervous about ignoring something.
You're just being nosy.
So it sounds like they get in the door early on.
I really appreciate someone reading it and saying, Keith, you need to worry about this, because.
Read it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like- Yeah.
That's my point. DOT?
Yes. DOT. So we had a meeting last week with the director and Pam Cotter, who's our primary contact, and some of the other staff, which ultimately may be a positive conversation. Still TBD. In terms of the STIP and the state of good repair. So the 20 million was ultimately included in the final statewide STIP, statewide planning document, which we know is significantly less than the needs assessment showed, but it's the number that's been out there for quite some time. So that's a positive that it disappeared, it came back. And that's allocated $2 million a year for 10 years, starting in fiscal year 26, which is what we're in.
Excuse me, this isn't the building. We're
This
talking
is
about-
not the
we're
building.
Talking about the roads.
This is what they're calling the Block Island State of Good Repair. And so this is going to be any roadway work, including drainage, asphalt, guardrails, anything like that.
So we have $2 million this year.
We have
You had 20.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to be treated as a subrecipient, which means we administer those projects. We will be coordinating the documentation process this week in terms of the agreements that need to be in place. That will take some time. We do believe that we'll be able to access a few chunks at a time, whether that's 4 million or 6, we're not sure yet. But they recognize 2, we can't do much with 2. And Mike and Jim are currently working on a prioritization list of how they can aggregate projects and how they can stagger them in a way that matches the funding stream.
Is there a match to this, Amy, or is this a
Yeah.
straight up?
This is straight up. This is state roads and state responsibility. And so one of the things we want to be really careful about is that they are bearing the entire cost, including all engineering and staff time and the entire thing. It's their work, it's their assets, they need to be maintaining it. So we're going to be a little bit careful in that initial documentation stage to make sure that we're setting it up right. But at least they're committed to that. And
Good for you. I know that was, it is.
we're not breathing easy yet, but
Amy, do you feel the allocation, which they're going throughout the state, because there's projects going everywhere going on. You think the allocation is balanced for what we're receiving in other communities, or is there any way
Rob,
to measure that?
what we're hoping is that after we go out to bid on the first project, we may actually bid the first 2. Like I said, we'll sort of stagger them. So that we can demonstrate that 2 million a year isn't going to get us where we need to go on any time frame, and be able to hand them a number that says this is what we're actually going to need, whether it's for a year or at least be able to ask for the right thing. So we're trying to work that out right now, what our strategy is.
I mean, it's always been an issue with the mobilization costs if you try to cut things down.
Absolutely,
You know?
yes.
Exactly. So
In $2 million, I think $2 million here as opposed to $2 million in Cranston, because of mobilization, whether it be with boat barges or whatever, isn't going to buy you the same mile of road that you'll get on the mainland.
exactly. So we're already trying to figure out how we demonstrate that
Right.
Before getting too far down the road. The other part is the building. We talked around that situation for a long time. But ultimately, the director did ask his staff to convene internally in order to identify where they may be able to reallocate funds from within their existing maintenance budgets. So recognizing that it's not federal funding eligible, it's outside of all of that, they need to find those dollars internally. And so they're going to meet over the next few weeks, engineer, planning, finance, their team, to see what they can do. Obviously, they don't have answers, but they did acknowledge that for them, it's not a lot of money. And for us, it will make a huge difference. And while the director hasn't seen it, other people on the call are familiar with the conditions. And they're prepared if we call them in the meantime and say, we've had to close that building. That facility can't support us.
So they're looking at, trying to do with funds that allocated in this current year that they currently have. So it's not a matter of if the budget gets passed. That's what their first hope is.
I think we're probably going to look at both the current year and the upcoming year. They will have already submitted their budget to the governor. So one of the things that we will be thinking about in terms of strategy there is if they don't come back with a immediate solution, which is,
Sure.
it's not like this. We want to see that they've identified it in their budget request. Even if ultimately somebody else cuts it, they need to prioritize it for us. Meaning they need to have it in their budget so that if we need to, and this is something we've talked about previously, if we need to work through the legislature to have it reinstated, we can do that. But if they haven't included it, it's hard for us to ask for it.
Right. It won't get it.
So-
If they haven't included, it's not going to get it.
Those are kind of the steps that we're working
I think
through.
this stuff is much farther along than it was when we last discussed it, and I really appreciate that.
How about the payment for the 100,000 plus?
We didn't get to that one, but we'll follow up with that this week.
So, I mean, we're looking at the building as not as additional housing and stuff. We're looking at basic building, correct? We're back to that.
We're focused on the first priority. Doesn't mean we won't eventually slide something in that's effective for us, but we're not trying to distract them
That's
from
my
their
point.
obligation.
Right. So, and if that works, great, but the priority is that building from there. And I can't emphasize enough that any push that we can do to get it in this year with existing funds, is like I said, keep knocking on the door from that end of it, because once it goes into the budget and back and forth, it leaves a lot of doors for why it couldn't happen. And I agree 100% with what you're saying. If they don't have it in the budget, I don't care what lobbyist, who we have, it's not going into the budget. It has to come through from them at that end of it. So it sounds like you're a lot farther down the road, like Keith said, than we've been in the past. So that's great.
So hopefully I'll be back before you with some action items.
Great.
So
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Item 13, I'm excusing myself.
Don't go far, because I don't know if there's a.
Which one?
Discuss an act on the contract between the town of New Shore and the Block Island Health Services. You've got a copy of it there.
4 things that this does. Codifies the existing agreement, and this codifies the existing agreement and the 3 amendments.
Yep.
It changes universally Block Island Medical Center to Block Island Health Center, which is their rebranding. Changes the audit date to 6/30, which is industry standard. And it changes the capital threshold up to 25,000, which is consistent with our ordinances. It's a 5-year agreement, which is what the previous one had been amended to. Otherwise, there are no additional changes.
I had a couple notes. One was when you get to their open meetings, are their meetings available right now, like publicly, like on YouTube, or they are?
Yes, they send us a notice, we post it. It does include it includes the location of the meeting and usually a Zoom link as well.
But I mean, like not like a Zoom link, like if you want to watch it in time, but like if you want to watch it later, is that available?
Oh,
anywhere?
that I'm not aware of.
And I believe they follow a general guide. They're not required to go by the open meeting laws. For instance, we have to be present. We can't Zoom in as council members. I believe their regulations, they use the guide for their accessibility and so forth, but they're not required, correct, Amy? They're not required to, they can do Zoom, for
They
instance.
don't have to be present.
Correct.
But beyond that, we press for a lot of requirements under the open meetings, and they have still included all of, most of those in this agreement, even though they insist that they're not subject to it, they have agreed to abide by it. But when they send you that information, where is it posted? Does it go on it says on the website, but I don't,
Yeah, we posted on the website just under our latest news, as well as just a paper posting at the town hall and the post office and library.
So just because that's like a push that we want to see in like the school committee and everywhere else, that's possible. I wonder like if they couldn't move in that direction. I mean, considering the amount of money that the taxpayers, not me, but the taxpayers, provide to the medical center every year, I think that would be, I would like to see that in there, some effort to make the meetings available after the fact. I mean,
Certainly something that we can raise with them.
yeah.
I just look at the number of people that are watching our meetings, like a week later. You can go on and you can see that the number has risen over a week. And I think it would be helpful.
It would be a better way for them to get the information out there too, because they're really no matter what we say, it just seems as though there's never, although we did get a picture and a report on the replacement for Dr. Workoff this week. That's first time in ages that the health services put anything in the newspaper.
I was also concerned, there was a meeting that I wasn't at, where we met with the water company, and I was concerned because I wasn't at that meeting. I read it in the paper, about the overage on the water. And I know that it says they are responsible for the water.
Yeah.
It just seemed, I guess I'm just curious, like, how did they put in such thirsty plants, and then continue to water them during a drought? And I think it just reflected poorly on them. It reflected poorly on us. Like, is there a way to deal with stuff like that? I mean, I know it says in here that they're going to pay the water and sewer charges, but again, they get a considerable amount of money from the taxpayers. Are they a conduit to the water company from the town? Like that was a very frustrating thing for me. How do we deal with that? How do we?
I mean, they had the overage and the water company said that they had to pay it. I mean, what would our role be?
I guess my frustration is that the taxpayers are giving them a considerable amount of money, and it appears as if a great deal of that money just went to the water company. Like,
Because they had they were
Yes.
monitoring the overage.
what's up with that? Why, it seems terribly irresponsible to me.
I think that, I mean,
It
so
hap- yeah.
having been to a lot of water company meetings over the years, that happens pretty frequently with new facilities. And so generally, the owner, and I assume this will happen in this case with our tenant, makes adjustments both in their allocation and in their usage. And it's usually a lesson people only need to learn once.
Yeah.
So if there was any way to see if the meetings could be, if they could move towards having the meetings available long-term, that would be great.
Molly, back to the point you had, I think probably one of the appropriate times to bring that up when they ask for their money for during the budget season. If you feel that something they were fiduciary responsible in a certain area, that might be a time to bring that up and they can justify or explain, and hopefully what Amy said, that it was a learning curve or whatever it might be. I think that might be a spot where we can address that with some accountability.
Yeah. I just
Saying if you're gonna ask for this money, yeah.
Going forward now after their experience, because that's a waste of money. Has anybody here got any other questions on this agreement?
No, so you're comfortable, Amy, with this compared to the contract we had before, the changes that are there?
It's essentially identical. Yeah.
And you're comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the 5-year agreement with the medical center.
Any other questions? Anything from the audience? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
All right, we have 14, our
Meeting schedule?
meeting schedule. So I just feel in full disclosure, just to be honest with folks, as usual, I have our daughter who lives in Australia has a baby due on March 1st. The likelihood is that I will be gone for 2 weeks in March. So, because the last baby, I went over for 8 days and I was wrecked for 2 months with the jet lag. So I've decided at my age, it has to be 2 weeks.
And well, and with the baby coming, it's kind of hard to look at these dates.
No,
Yes,
that's
be
why I
on
was
one-
just
Yeah.
March.
March. Maybe March.
Any,
I mean, I don't know. Looks okay.
Is budget March?
The mid-March.
So like the 18th. Can I have a motion to approve this meeting? Second. Those in favor, indicate by saying aye.
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 Anything else?
Okay. Items for future agendas. I'm gonna ask again on my issues about the was the parking signs that we have down past Deadeyes, was that the answer?
Yeah, we'll probably have that on the next agenda.
Okay, okay. And I noticed that I tuned into the police advisory for some reason about a month or so ago, and they were talking about slow-moving vehicles and bikes and the like. Has our transportation committee ever met?
Yes, it has.
Oh.
You're speaking to the chairman over here.
And the coach, and the coach, yeah.
Can we anticipate some discussion before? I mean, there seems to
like
be,
a wonderful group that'll be working together.
Don't be for the participation.
And it-
Solid group. That's some ideas.
And I think what Nancy brought up is, on the electric bikes in other towns, I think, and I don't mean for our next meeting, but it's something that's not going away. The electric bikes and the really almost electric motorcycles, whatever it might be. And I think we're gonna have to, I think it's worth looking at other communities, what they're doing, and we're gonna have to address it. It's,
Did you happen to read the article in Times this weekend about the San Francisco's issue? Where I'll tell you, the data are really disturbing. Electric, regular bicycle accidents, fatalities are less than 1%. With e-bikes, it's over 12 fatalities. And some of those fatalities are people who get hit by more, more than
yeah.
bicycles.
One of
I don't
the-
know what the answer is,
yeah.
but you're right.
If-
I mean,
If you remember, Al, he was a traffic expert from Cranston.
yeah.
He said one of the main things was the difference with those electric bikes is the torque. When you hit them, they go right away. It's like an
Yeah.
electric car. And he said, as opposed to, he was referencing it to like with mopeds, it's a gradual build up from that end of it. But I just think that you know, they're being perfected, you know, as the technology is changing and, the batteries are becoming better and so forth. And I know from the ferry, you see them, there's, used to see them here and there. Now they're just so common. And they're common with people that, you know, older people that normally probably opt not to be on the bike. And so, not that it's a bad thing, but I think it's something that's gonna have to be addressed. Well, that was one of these, so.
And
So,
I'm, after reading that article and a few of the others, I'm more concerned even about the younger people, because
Yeah.
I guess you can go on all sorts of spots on the internet and find a way to jimmy it up. from
Yes, yeah.
20 miles an hour up to 45
Yeah.
miles an hour.
Yeah.
Um,
and I don't know if they're a bad thing. I think it's a thing that you know, the technology, the regulations are, they need to keep up with the technology and it's difficult sometimes, but and it's going to be problematic, I think, for the police department, you know, and I think to get the chief involved from that end of it, and he can see what other communities are doing. You know,
And
like
for
with Point
rescue, I
Porter.
remember when Tom Warcup was here, he was saying, one year that he was at least as concerned about the e-bikes as he was about mopeds in terms of, pressure on the medical center staff and risk and rescue for emergencies. Because it's, you know, it's not someone riding 12 miles an hour on a dirt road. It's,
So I guess my point is, I don't think it's something that we should just leave on the subcommittee. I think it's gonna be a bigger issue, I think, including with the chief, that we're gonna need to look at. down
I think it's something that we don't want to be caught short
Right.
too. You know, have it all hit this summer and we're saying, well, where were we all last winter? Yeah.
have a motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor, we're adjourned. What's that?